Welcome back to Open Line. We are talking with Amy Lawrence, Tennessee conservatives concerned about the death penalty. And we're talking about, of course, the death penalty as Tennessee is set to execute its second person in the last 2 months. Edmund Zagorski is on death watch right now and set to be executed on Thursday. Bunch of calls. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Barry. Hello, Barry.
Hello, Mr. Ben. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. What's on your mind?
Well, I want to thank you and your guest, Ms. Lawrence, for bringing up this topic. This is a topic, definitely, which is a serious topic, and thank you for taking the time to discuss it.
Well, thank you.
I agree that Tennessee should use the death penalty, and I agree because these people, they took the life of an innocent human being, someone's family member, someone's loved one. They didn't give them a choice of life, and I believe because of that they forfeit their chance of life. And we need to send, and the message needs to be sent that these type of crimes will not be tolerated. And we do know that in many cases that the death penalty is a deterrent when it's used right. Is a deterrent to these serious crimes. He doesn't give his victims right to life, so therefore he forfeits his right to life. He knew what he was doing when he did it, and he meant to do it. And it was no accident. It was an intended act, and these things need to be dealt with. The message needs to be sent that this is not going to be tolerated in our society. And to put him in prison for the rest of his life, he didn't give that person the right to life. Their life is gone. They're gone. They're not going to come back. They can't come back. And to let him just have to sit up in a prison for the rest of his life, I don't know. But that's the way I feel about it.
Well, I appreciate you laying that out. I think a lot of people, I mean, he's articulated the way a lot of people feel. Sends a message. Their victims didn't get the chance to live, to have 3 meals and be in prison, and they shouldn't get the chance to live. You hear that, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I hear that a lot. I hear if you take a life, your life should be taken. But again, that's not how it works. How many people have taken lives who aren't serving this? So the real question is, who should get the death penalty? Because we know that not everyone who takes a life gets it. So who should it be? And often it's, I get told the worst of the worst. And then we see that the worst of the worst aren't always on death row, that they are serving a life sentence or life without parole. And so, again, this isn't about whether it's just, but whether it can be carried out justly.
And as a conservative, you're questioning government's ability to do that.
Right. Yeah, I used to believe that I think I watched a little bit too much SVU, that there was DNA in every case, that it was always black and white, that we always knew who the perpetrator was. And in reality, there's only DNA evidence in about 5 to 10% of all homicide cases. So there's a lot of room for error there.
Let's go to Sharon. Hello, Sharon. Are you there, Sharon?
Yes, I am.
Great, great. Go right ahead.
Hi.
I'm kind of leaning into the phone because I think it helps. But Sharon, go right ahead. Go right ahead with your comment.
Okay. I think Tennessee still needs to use the death penalty, but I know a lot of cases people they're killing kids out here and taking other people's lives. They do wrong, but I think they still need to do the death penalty because it is wrong that Bible said they shall not kill and steal. And to me, I think Tennessee needs to go ahead and do the death penalty.
You do? All right. Thank you, Sharon. And so now we've had a number of people. Sharon supports the death penalty. So we started out 2 people agreeing that the death penalty is inappropriate. One, a conservative, saying, I agree, death penalty. But now we have a whole list of people saying they support the death penalty. I'm just going to keep moving on here. Let's go to Reverend Fuzz. Hello, Reverend Fuzz.
Hey, Ben. I got this question. I'm thinking that most of the people who defend the death penalty are most adamant about abortion. They are against abortion. And so when they say that, you know, you're killing a baby, they what they call it, pro-life. Yeah, pro-life. You're for life. Now, so how do they separate death penalty from the killing of a life, the baby? How does that kind of fit together? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and Reverend, let me ask you, if they said, because I bet I know what they would say, and I want to hear your opinion. If they say, well, the baby's innocent and the person being executed committed a horrible crime, does that justify it in your view?
Well, that's not what they say. They say that it's a life, that it's an innocent life, and that you shouldn't take an innocent life, and that we shouldn't take lives. And so I'm just trying to see how they put that together. I hear what you're saying, that they think the baby's innocent and this person is guilty, but I would say, what does the death penalty produce in terms of preventing other crimes and murders? Is it effective to stop crime, even prisons? Right.
Reverend Fuzz, thank you. What do you think about what Reverend Fuzz is saying there?
Yes, so we've seen the Pope recently came out against the death penalty. He changed the Catholic catechism on this, so we have seen a lot of pro-life groups moving towards being pro-all life, from birth to death. And so you do see a lot of conservatives concerned about that issue. There are people that I greatly respect who see it differently, who, as you said, see the difference between innocent life, and I would agree with them. And I would say that we are talking about a lot of innocent people here, 160 that we know of that have been wrongfully convicted.
Let's go to Tim. Hello, Tim.
Hello.
Hello, what's on your mind?
Well, I totally support the death penalty, and we're talking about whether innocent or guilty. That's left to our justice system, and it evidently is broken. But there's one question that I would like to ask Amy. Mm-hmm. If it was her immediate family that somebody had killed, I wonder how she would feel about that.
All right, thank you, Tim.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my heart breaks for these victims' family members. I mean, just breaks. These were two men who had families, who had wives, who had lives before all this, and it's just a horrible crime that occurred. And you know, I have talked to, again, there are victims' family members who fall all over this subject, who are on different sides of this, but some of the ones that I've talked to who have said, I wanted this case closed from the very beginning. I wanted, you know, for justice to be carried out accurately, it should be swift and sure. And the death penalty is neither of those. And you really see just the extra trauma that this happens. And the other thing is, you could execute this man 1,000 times over in 1,000 different ways, and that would never be justice enough for what he did to those two victims.
That is an emotional question that Tim just asked. People can have their opinion about the death penalty, but what if you know, you have something horrible happen mm-hmm. to a family member? And I know there are some people who have said this prolonged period mm-hmm. they have to wait for the death penalty has maybe not been a healing thing. Mm-hmm. I would imagine there are other people who have said, I'm really happy the person who did this to my loved one is going to die.
Right.
And so that's, you know, that's tough.
Yeah.
And what do you say about that?
I mean, in this case in particular, we've had the wife of one of the victims who has asked the governor to grant clemency because she has said what I've said, that it's, you know, 30 years, she just wants it to be over with at some point. And yeah, you hear both sides, and I understand that this is an emotional issue, and it's really not, it's not about whether I believe in the death penalty or whether the death penalty is just. It's whether the system is working. And that's where we should really be questioning, is the system working?
Right. Is government doing the right thing here? Is government capable of carrying this out with no mistakes in a timely manner?
Right.
All right, we're going to take a break. Jim and Charles, I will get to your call. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.